15 degrees, you can see your breath. Out here in the lake effect, breaking tables like it's poetry. Where else would you rather be? Pinto, Ron, Elvis, and the Lay Poncho. The members that you need to know. 'Cause once you out here now, your family. Where else would you rather be? Where else would you rather be?
Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker and StreamYard. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud.
It's a vibe so ridiculous. Since 12 plus 83 was 6. The shout rocking like a symphony. Where else would you rather be?
All right, let's get straight to it. I'm really excited for tonight's episode as we wrap up season 2 of Nickel City Crew. I was trying to figure out a good kind of line in the sand of when we would kind of end these seasons and then start the next one. And then I was thinking about it tonight before I was talking with my co-host pre-show, and it just seems like a good way to kind of draw a line in the sand. A line of demarcation is just right around free agency, right around the draft. I mean, 32 teams go after a goal. Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew, as you enter a new season, and it's funny because only one team at the end is happy, and obviously the Kansas City Chiefs are victorious, and they won Super Bowl 57, so they kind of get to write the script, so to speak. But for all the 31 teams, it's kind of a situation where you're rebuilding, you're finding a way to tweak things. The Bills are obviously a team that, you know, Super Bowl favorites entering this year, and a lot of hype and a lot of this and that. I really feel like around, free agency, around the draft time is really a good time to kind of mark, the new season, the new era, so to speak. So the 2023 Buffalo Bills will get started in earnest right around free agency. I think that comes up around March 15th or so. And then I know they've got that little free agency tampering period. And then after that, about a month later, towards the end of April, I mean, it's the draft and your team changes, and no team brings back 22 out of 22 starters, even the Chiefs themselves. Everybody will change a little bit. So as we wrap up on season 2, it's been so much fun to be a part of this platform here on Buffalo Fan Base, and I'm really appreciative and grateful for it. You guys know, again, as I've said a couple times these last few episodes, we just passed our anniversary. My co-host has been with me for about half of that time, for 6 months or so, 7 months going strong, and we really are excited for the future of Nickel City Crew. To be honest, it's something where it just was something we didn't expect, and it was something that just kind of came up on us, and I've been having a fun time with it. DT, man, happy belated birthday to you. We missed you last week. We had Nate Geary on from WGR, who hosts a few shows with them. I know he hosts Saturday mornings, and then I know he hosts sometime the nightcap, and then the Buffalo Bills postgame. Had a really cool episode with him last week, and hope you get a chance to listen to it if you didn't get a chance to snag a listen to it already. Happy belated birthday to you, DT. We missed you last week, man. I missed you, man, personally, man. Holla at the crew, Mr. 31-year-old. What's up, DT? Holla at the crew, Reggie Miller. What's up, Jarrisburg?
What's up, Nickel City? Thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate the love and the birthday wishes. It was a good one. I've been joking all week. They don't make them like they used to when it comes to birthdays, and but that's all right. That's all right. As you grow up, instead of more celebrating, it's setting the goals to how you're going to better yourself for the next year. So
That's right.
Looking forward to that, and living that Reggie Miller year up. Starting with a bang is a little vacation planned.
Yeah, you're heading out of
getting
town.
rolling in that.
You heading to Florida, huh?
Heading out to Florida for a bachelor party with some long time friends. So it'll be good
Nice.
to see those guys, and you hadn't seen them and talked to them in a while, and get down there. But yeah, appreciate being back on and listened to the episode last week, and definitely was a little jealous I wasn't on that one, because that was good. Nate Geary, obviously an established personality on WGR and in the community, on Twitter and everything like that as well. So, a well-known Bills head in Buffalo and surrounding areas. So, big come up for Nickel City to be able to have him on the crew, and we'll keep building on that for sure. But excited to be back, excited to get rolling, and as we kind of close out this season and the process of going from the loss to the
Stages
grim
of grief.
outlook
Yeah,
to
stages of grief.
now, okay, how are we going to build to get back to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, as you put it best. So looking forward to this offseason, seeing kind of what's going to happen. And it's the one thing the NFL's taught us really the past 5 years is anything can happen, right?
Oh my gosh, you ain't
It
lying
was a
about
little
that.
crazier back in the day. It was a little more conservative back in the day, when it came to off seasons, and now it's kind of pay to play, baby. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
you ain't lying, man. Yes, definitely shout out to Richland Music, at Richland Music for our theme song, and again, Mount Up. We had him on a couple episodes ago. If you guys didn't get a chance, excuse me, to check that episode, please do check it out because that was really cool to kind of hear his story. So shout out to him, and then again, yeah, absolutely shout out to Nick Gary right there at WGR 550. Really cool, man. He was totally not like pompous or haughty or looking down on us at the crew or anything like that. He was totally cool. So he said he wants to come back on when we get a chance in season 3 with you as well, so he can meet you. And we had a great time last week and kind of dug into a few things that kind of correlate with tonight's episode. And I'm really excited for tonight's episode, DT, because I have officially had my first, I guess this would be my second Twitter beef, where this one was a little bit more intense than the first one. And
I bet.
it was more than one person, and it was more than one, whatever they call them, Twitter handles. And for Nick City Crew, and for those that don't know me that well, I'm not a social media buff. I'm still begging DT to take over Nickel City Crew social media, and I want him to run it all, and the Twitter and everything. I want him all because it is a little bit exhausting, but it is a part of the process, kind of getting your name out there and kind of, getting the program a little bit of exposure and kind of interacting with the fans. And boy, the interaction with the fans these last couple of days has been very interesting, DT. Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, is out for next season. The news came down yesterday, right in the morning, and it was kind of it wasn't surprising in respects to the fact that he's taking a step back, but it was surprising because of the timing, and nobody kind of saw it coming. At this, normally these things happen. They happen right after the year, and the guys are kind of decompressing, even the coaches as well as the players. They're going on vacation, talking to their families and friends, and then all of a sudden changes are made. This one kind of took a little bit longer. Brandon Beane at the scouting combine in Indianapolis, right there at their stadium right there, kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday at Lucas Oil about how, Brandon, Leslie Frazier came to him about a week ago, came to the organization. DT kind of told him that he wanted us to take a step back. Now, all of the reports, all of them from Alana Getzenberg and anybody that's kind of plugged in with the Buffalo Bills have said that Leslie Frazier has decided that he does not want to retire or anything of the sort. He said that he was actually adamant in the fact that he did not want to retire. But he needs to take a step back and he wants to return in 2024. It's interesting because Brandon Beane said that he would have been the DC, Nickel City Crew, Bills Mafia. He would have been the DC in 2023 had he not decided to take a step back. So one thing that speaks to me, DT, is that the Bills weren't going to make a change on either side of the ball for the coordinators. I know that has been one of the buzz topics on WGR and other stations and other platforms with other content creators about, would there be changes on the offense and Ken Dorsey, and is he in over his head? And then on the defensive side of the ball, is it time for a new voice and different things like that about Leslie Frazier? It's interesting to hear from Brandon Beane, DT, that he was ready and they were all ready for him to be the DC coming up in 2023 season. And it was interesting because of the fact that, a lot of people on Twitter that I've been fighting with, DT, have been taking a little bit of a victory lap and have almost taken this news as a sign of progress for the Buffalo Bills and their defense. I'm not so sure. I'm ready to get into it a little bit with you, but first, about what you thought of the news of Leslie Frazier taking a step back. I know it was, again, a little bit surprising because of the timing. How did it catch you? And before we go forward with what it means for the Bills in 2023 and beyond, how did the news sit with you? Because A lot of people, I got into it, DT, yesterday. You check out the Nickel City Crew page on Twitter, man. We were beefing, man. I mean, I've kind of taken a little bit of a akin to Leslie Frazier. I think he's a great coach. I think he deserves to be a head coach. I've already said that on the show, and a couple people, I mean, a lot of people are taking a victory lap thinking this is about to be something very, very good for the Bills. I'm interested to see what you think, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go and take a look at those that Twitter
Please.
thread because I bet
Please.
it's crazy with
You've got
all
access to the
year. I
login,
mean,
man. Please take a look.
I definitely am not all the way on your side with Leslie Frazier, but I'm
Talk to me.
more
Talk to me.
on your side than I'm closer to your side than the middle.
Okay.
And then the middle to the hate
To
Leslie
the-
Frazier side, right? So so I'm with you for the most part on that. But I know there's a lot of people that are against him and blamed really that the final couple of years of the
Mhm.
playoff losses on him with the schemes and whatever the case is. I was kind of in that boat
Okay.
until you talked me into
Who's his boss?
the who's his boss,
Who's
who
his
makes that
boss?
last call, who makes that last call. And if Sean McDermott wasn't a defensive coach, I think there would be a lot more
Credence to
on
it.
Leslie Frazier for this. But
Mhm.
that's a great point. I mean, if Leslie Frazier was calling that defense that was leading to the demise, the past 2 years, when does Sean McDermott step in and change that? So I definitely am back on that grind of who's the boss, who's making this move, and it's McDermott here. So I wasn't necessarily happy to hear Leslie Frazier leaving. It didn't have to be Leslie Frazier. It could have been, but I think we needed something different, right, Rob?
Mhm.
We're with this vibe of the process and building a culture and it's all good. We win the regular season, but then we have these big playoff letdowns, and so I think there needed to be some sort of change made, whether that was coach and players, any sort of change, just to get a new look, get a new perspective as we roll forward. So, not happy that Leslie Frazier left because I think he brings a lot to the organization and this team, and the players love him, and
Well respected.
he's
Mhm.
put up
Well
top five
respected.
defenses year after year after year. But kind of happy in the fact of like, okay, there's our change. Maybe that's the pop we need to kind of transition and move forward and build. But timing was weird on this, Rob. Like you
Yeah, it
said, it
really
wasn't.
was.
It usually happens right after the season. If he's going to take the year off, hey, I'm now taking the year off, whatever. Coaches have done that. It's not unheard of. Take a year off, come back. Look at Sean Payton, right now.
Right.
So,
Right.
but the weird, like, so your instant thought is, did something happen, right?
Yes.
Was there a
Bingo.
battle of,
Bingo.
maybe was the team saying we're going to change X, Y, and Z, and Leslie Frazier was more like, no, we do it this way, or was it opposite? Was Leslie Frazier saying we need to start changing some things, and McDermott says, no, we're
There you
keeping it
go.
as is.
There you go.
So, and who knows if either of those happened, right? But it's easy to speculate with the timing of this situation and going right about to go into the combine, right about to get
Right.
into the building that defense back up, and and then there's murmurs. There's murmurs today I hear from the combine that Brandon Beane's acting weird about Poyer and Edmonds, and he doesn't
Wow.
know. Like, he's usually a little more confident in his responses. Now he's a little more, we'll see kind of
Right.
deal. So
Yeah.
maybe it was the factor of we're not signing these dudes back, and Leslie Frazier said these are the key components of my defense. I need them,
Right.
and they said no, we're not signing them back. And he said, all right, well, I'll let you guys burn
I'll
in hell
take a
for
year
that.
off,
So
and then yeah,
yeah,
it was interesting that when they reported the news, one of the key factors that was in that report, or I guess to be honest, one of the key factors that was left out of the report was that he's coming back in 2024. I don't know if it's going to be on the Bills, and
yeah,
then both Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, kind of stayed steadfast with that, where they weren't really committing that he's coming back to the Bills. They just said that he doesn't want to retire, and I think that was obviously important to Leslie Frazier to kind of get that news out there to the masses that he was not looking to retire in a capacity where he was never going to be coaching again. He wants to coach again. He just needed to take a step back, which again, you're kind of, what are you, a sleuth? What are you, Sherlock Holmes, DT? I mean,
yeah,
you dump truck Holmes. I mean, yes, that kind of made me feel like there was a little something fishy going on in respects to the situation where I don't know. I just do know for a fact, and you've already laid it out. We don't know. We're speculating. We have no idea what's going on. Obviously, I already extended out on Twitter that we hope that the best of wishes to him and his family. If this is a personal issue or health issue with him or a family member, we obviously wish him and his family the best. If it is not DT, then this could be a situation where, I mean, we are very familiar with this coach not quite getting along with the coordinators, and no better case, for that than Brian Dable, the NFL Coach of the Year this past year, who, didn't always see eye to eye with Sean McDermott, and didn't always see eye to eye with him on the philosophy of how to run this offense on the flip side of the ball. And eventually it came to a head where you kind of knew once he didn't get that Chargers job and they went to Brendan Staley a couple of years ago, you knew that this was, that last year was his last year in Buffalo. Come hell or high water, you knew that, Brian Dable wasn't going to be coaching for Sean McDermott anymore, working on his staff. So it's interesting. I have no speculation on it. I just am, kind of giving you your 2 cents and your points for kind of just a little bit of sleuthing right there. I'm definitely interested because the timing makes it weird, where whether it be Tremaine Edmonds or Poyer, or whether it be the defensive scheme or what have you, there could have been some type of disagreement where he just said, you know what, I need to take a step back from this because I'm already catching darts for 13 seconds. I'm already catching darts for the Cincinnati game. I'm already catching all of these bullets from the fans, from the media, different things like that. And all of a sudden,
he was taking it, Rob. He was taking it. I mean, it was I feel like you and me are the minority in this.
Yes, absolutely.
About supporting. Like, I think majority of this fan base instantly said, fuck Leslie Frazier, so
good riddance.
Exactly.
I saw it on Twitter. Trust me.
So maybe it was like that. Maybe he's just hearing this for 2 years. Get rid of Leslie Frazier. Get rid of Leslie Frazier. Get rid of Leslie Frazier. And he's like, damn, I've been putting top 5 defenses up for y'all, and all I hear is get rid of me. So who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? We can't speculate, like you said, but that is our job to kind of poke around and see if we can't find anything underneath those stones or anything like, and turn everything over and just try to see what we can't see. So it's interesting. It is definitely interesting timing. It's something that I'm paying attention to because, again, I've been a big Leslie Frazier supporter. Now, leading into that, one of the things that made me instantly think about, and today kind of frustrated me, to be honest with you. I know we record these on Wednesday nights and then we'll release on Thursday morning, DT. Listening to WGR today, man, kind of just ticked me off. And I'll give you some examples, man. I mean, what is really going to change with the Buffalo Bills defense, in your opinion, DT? With it looks like Sean McDermott is going to call the plays, and we talked about it many times. A lot of coaches, call plays. Now, obviously, it's more on the offensive side of the ball, and Andy Reid, and you know what I mean. Sean McVay, they call plays. Shanahan, they call plays for their side of the ball. It's not abnormal for a head coach to call plays or anything like that, so I'm not worried or anything like that. But I just don't know, honestly, what is going to change and what is going to look different. Which obviously leads into my other point, but I don't know really what to expect. When I heard the news, I wasn't sad for the defense. I wasn't thinking that this is doom and gloom and that this is over. I actually took it as an opportunity, DT. And again, on Twitter with some of the people that I was beefing with, I actually took an opportunity to say, hey, listen, Sean McDermott has no other place to hide at this point. If you're going to call the plays, or even if you're not going to call the plays and they promote Al Holcomb or they promote Bobby Babich or they promote somebody else within the staff, doesn't matter. At this point in time, Leslie's gone. It's your defense. It's been your defense. All eyes on you, Sean. Just like last week's episode entitled, All Eyes on Sean McDermott. If he's going to call the plays on the defensive side of the ball, really, I mean, I was kind of happy because there's really not much more wiggle room for him. I'm being honest, man. There's not much more wiggle room.
It takes all question out of it. It takes all question out of it, like you said. And if Sean McDermott, even if Leslie Frazier was the DC this year and Sean McDermott was openly, publicly calling the defense,
right?
I feel like the vibe would have swung. People would have supported. Leslie Frazier's helping, build this top 5D, and then McDermott's calling this defense, and we're getting beat in the playoffs every year. So you said it best, Rob. There's nowhere to hide anymore, and this kind of goes to our point of being critical. And McDermott doesn't go on trial enough, and all this other shit. If he comes out and they go, which is probably going to be the case at this point, without hiring a D coordinator earlier, and the way it is, like, he's probably going to be calling it, right? They might hire a guy for personnel or whatever, but it's going to be McDermott's defense full go this year. So in a way, that's I think it's clarity. It's put up or shut up, and there's no way around it. There's no way to hide, as you said. You call the D and the same shit happens, and then it's like it was you all along, or you call the
Yes.
D and something different happens, and it's like, well, then why weren't you calling the D the 2 years before that?
Oh
So
man, don't steal my
it's
notes,
really kind of
DT. Don't
no
steal my
win.
notes.
It's no win for McDermott in this situation, I think. But winning a ring will change all that, obviously. But
Absolutely.
no win for him, because if he doesn't do well, he hasn't done it, and if he does do well, it's why haven't you been doing this the last when we had a better window or whatever the case is. So
Absolutely.
I don't want to wish downfall. I hope it works out great and for our
Absolutely.
sake and
I want a
everything.
parade.
But it
I want a
goes
parade.
to but it goes to it now. You have never been on
Who else
trial.
is there left to
Now
blame,
you are.
DT?
Yeah.
It's interesting because I was listening on WGR again. We record these on Wednesday nights, and then we'll release them on Thursday mornings. Yesterday, Wednesday, WGR, and then Joe Marino. I love him. I listen to him a lot, and I love his coverage of the Bills. I listen to his Locked On Bills podcast, and he was kind of suggesting today. He came on in the morning show, and he's talking around, and he's talking about, like, I think he was on the morning show. It might have been the afternoon show.
Yeah, usually comes on with Howard and Jeremy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he was talking today, whether it been the morning show or the afternoon show with Sal and Joe, and he was like, well, McDermott, his past is that he's aggressive, and he's aggressive play caller. And Ron Rivera yesterday at the Indy meetings there at the Combines talking about how he's never had a defensive coordinator as aggressive as Sean McDermott. And this is and what it was to me, how I heard it, was insinuating that McDermott is more aggressive than what he has led us on to believe, or that he has allowed Leslie Frazier to call the defense as. Again, I don't know who's calling the plays on Sundays. I'm assuming that it was Leslie Frazier. Again, my whole point is that if it's a situation where you are going to all of a sudden now be more aggressive and be more to your roots, so to speak, from Philly and from Carolina, then why in the ham sandwich, as my father would say, why in the ham sandwich weren't you like that before? Or putting those nuggets into Leslie Frazier's ear to kind of help him along, because again, you are his superior, you're his boss. So it kind of just falls on deaf ears for me, to be honest. When I was hearing some of the rhetoric today on WGR, it was just again Joe Marino talking about how McDermott's an aggressive defensive play caller, and he's getting ready to go back to some of his roots, and Ron Rivera and this and that, and it was in one ear out the other, and I was just like, what? I mean, give me a break, man. I don't see anything changing for the defense personally, DT. I think that this is Sean McDermott's defense. I think it's been his defense. I think it's his baby. It's been his baby, and I think that Leslie Frazier was an extension of what Sean wanted, the same way that Brian Dable, so to speak, had his run-ins with McDermott over the offense, and McDermott wanted to run the ball more and not liking the pass-happy offense as much and not wanting to rely on Josh as much. I think it's a situation where Sean wants things run a certain way, and whether you like it or not, that's the type of coach that you have. And yes, he might empower his coaches to make calls and different things like that, but it's a situation where when the rubber meets the road, this is your coach. Like, somebody got into me on Twitter. They're talking about, well, if you want to go back to 17 years of Dick Duran and Rex Ryan, and it was like, that's who he is. Like, to me, like, he's got more life than Dick Duran, and he doesn't eat dog biscuits like Rex Ryan. He's more professional, but he's still the same guy. Run, stop the run, play conservative, punt the ball. I mean, didn't we see that in Cincinnati? Yeah. Didn't we see that? We had a chance to try to get that game back before half and make this a game and make this something where the fans were into it. And you and I were both there, along with 70,000 other Bills Mafia fans and Nickel City crew. And he punts the ball. Like, it just seems to me when the big situations come up, he comes up small. And I don't know what's going to change with that just because Leslie's gone. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, you say it out loud like that, Rob, right? Run, stop the run, conservative.
Monotone,
nobody wants to hear that, but they've been saying it without saying it for, that granted, they have been a little more dynamic offensively with Josh Allen, and, they are working into that. And, for this year we were kind of like, chill with the, why are we passing every play? So,
right.
So it is kind of back and forth with that, but you say it out loud. The Titans just said that at the combine this week.
Ran
About
Carson, yeah.
basically like, we got nothing, we got Derrick Henry, and that's what we're gonna do,
Yeah.
and
Criticizing the
they just
Warriors or something like that. He was criticizing the Golden State Warriors
yeah,
for playing that finesse basketball, finesse football or whatever, and he
yeah.
just wants to run it. He's out of touch.
Exactly. And so you say it out loud, and it's like, oh, that's stupid, right? But you got to be careful of, saying not out loud, but doing it, right? And since, Marv Levy,
Hmm.
Wade Phillips, maybe a little bit, the
Right.
all the coaches have been jokes, during that period.
Right.
McDermott comes in, we have a little bit of success. The vibe in the community and everything is the Bills are number one. The Bills are everywhere. The Bills are number one. The vibe is everywhere. So that's got to build into your ego a little bit, right? And to him, I built this dynasty, not dynasty.
I know what you
Dynasty is
mean.
not the right
Yep.
word, but
I know
I
what you
built
mean.
this, the new age Bills, and I'm the face of it. I'm the head coach of it. So he, in a way, like you said, there's a way he wants it to be ran.
Hmm.
And each year that goes by, the more popular the Bills get, the more people jump on the bandwagon,
Right.
the more until the last game of the year, they hear about how great they are everywhere they go. He goes to his kids' softball games, and I always see people taking pictures with them and hear how great they are, And he, sitting like, oh, we're doing a pretty good job. I'm going to keep
Absolutely.
doing it this way. So that's kind of a little fear of mine that he's becoming, the head's getting big, because the community and the fans have kind of bolstered that up to a fact where I don't need to change. I'm doing it the right way. Just a couple bounces here and there, we would have won those playoff games, as opposed to complete, procedural
Yeah.
changes. But I think a lot's going to come on the defensive side of the ball. One thing, he might not be touching the offense as much because he's going to be preoccupied with the defense, so we can see a little more creativity or whatnot. If he was kind of
Stifling it.
restricting the
Yeah.
offense, he might step away from that because he's going to put more effort onto the defensive side of the ball. But one thing, the personnel defensively, it's really going to depend on Poyer and Edmonds if they're coming
Yeah.
back. Like
Yeah.
Edmonds is like the middle linebacker spot is a huge spot to fill if he
Right.
goes. And
Right.
Poyer has been made that safety spot completely huge, on this defense, and that's a massive spot to fill as well. So that's going to depend, I think, a lot on the change in the outcome, the new Bills. If you see a different defense from McDermott, I think personnel wise, it starts there and kind of digs from that. And it's going to be tough to I don't think we see them both back if either of them, but
Oh, wow.
I think that's going to be a big situation of of the next chapter of Sean McDermott's defense, depending on the personnel of those two.
Yeah, I mean, I agree because it'll be interesting to see how they deal with free agency and with free, with the draft and how the needs that they're going to address. I think that the defense will look, completely different without those two in the lineup. I don't, I'm not a proponent of paying Tremaine Edmonds, big money or anything like that. I've said that already on this show, but I am a proponent of making sure that the defense stays intact because of the fact that defense is really hard to predict and it's really hard to carry over, which is, again, another reason why I gave feathers in the cap to Leslie Frazier, was the fact that he was able to sustain a defense that was top 5, top 10 consistently over his tenure. So to me, it was a situation where I thought that this guy deserved his flowers. I thought that he deserved respect from the fan base. And now it seems like everybody is happy and again, saying good riddance to him. And I'm just, be careful what you wish for because of the fact that, Sean McDermott, this was his defense. And I'm going to hold firm on that. I think that this was his defense. I think that this is the defense that he wanted ran. And it was funny because on Twitter, again, it's the infamous play because it's the most recent play, and everybody's going to show you Cincinnati 3rd and 4, and all those defensive backs lined up back 7 yards. And my retort to some of the people that were sending that stuff out and kind of, oh, this is my last impression of Leslie Frazier, and they're showing the little screenshot, and I'm like, man, again, as we've talked about ad nauseum, and I've definitely stood on that soapbox. Who is his boss? So to me, it's malpractice on both ends, whether you agreed with those calls on first down against Kansas City after the touchback or second down against Kansas City, you know what I mean? On the, when, Mahomes is telling Kelsey, do it. And everybody on national TV can hear him saying, do it. And you're backed all the way up, whether that was Leslie's call, whether that was your call. If it's Leslie's call, say something because you're his boss, and you should be able to see if us at home can see that this is a problem and everybody's looking at the TV and saying, what the hell are you doing? Why are you lined up like this? Then why can't you see that as his boss? Or you agree with his calls in again, which leads me back to my original point. What is going to really change this year on the defense if he thought that it was the right call on first down and second down? And then again, obviously on that 3rd and 4 against Cincinnati this past postseason. To me, it rings hollow to me because of the fact that I don't expect to see all of these different spots on Sean McDermott. I don't expect him to change his spots and all of a sudden he turns from a leopard to a zebra. I just don't see it. I think that he's going to be the same. I think that this was always his defense, and it's a situation where I don't have much hope for anything changing. Again, we're hoping the best for Leslie Frazier, but after that, I mean, if Leslie knew something that we didn't know, then let it be known that Nickel City Crew was on the scent from the beginning as well, because I just don't see anything changing this next year, DT, with the defense in respect to, obviously, besides players and key players, the scheme itself. This is Sean's D.
Yeah, and we've seen nothing that would show that it would change. It's so kind of scary the same, that it literally, you got teams talking about it. When before the Bills played the Bengals in the regular season, the game that got canceled, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, all these dudes all week were saying like, yeah, the Bills are a good D, but
we go eat them up.
They play the same D literally every single play, so they don't do any disguise, they don't do anything like that. So this has always been the case. And back to the point on the pictures of the 13 seconds, everybody back this year, the 3rd and 4, everybody back. How many plays, Rob, you go through the past 3 years, of this defense? How many plays that they had a pick or they had a stop that they were lined up just like that too, right? So like people obviously aren't going to be pointing that out, and they've had success by doing this. Like, it's not like they just ran this one play and that's how we lost both playoff games, because they ran this one play. Like, they've been doing this and have had success with it, the whole time. Like, and so that's why I think what people, got to understand a little more of, like, they've been doing this to success game after game after game.
Yes.
And
then but don't
the top tier teams that have the top tier coaching staff with the top tier players and the top tier schemes, they're going to find a way to beat that. And that's what the playoffs is all about.
That's right.
So there has to be, if that works, great. But then there also has to be, disguise and move on from that, maybe not the whole game, but in situations like that, it's got to change, deep in the playoffs. But I'm sure they were doing that shit all year.
Yes, of course.
And you just on a pick six, or one of Milano's pick six earlier in the year, there was probably guys way off on 3rd and 4, and we're not screenshotting that with arrows and like, oh, I can't believe Leslie Frazier did that. So that's a little something to think about as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's down, it's situation, it's game, game script. What time is it in the game? Are you up? Are you down? All of those different types of things, win probability. I understand that all of those different factors come into it. And to me, just again, just so I can put a bow on Leslie, I want to be fair. I just want to be fair to the man. He was a professional. He's great at his job, former player for the 85 Bears, vaunted defense, one of the greatest defenses of all time, either them or the Ravens in 2000, one or the other, pick or choose. I mean, he's being inducted into the Black College Football Hall of Fame this coming summer. Like, he's accomplished. The players respect him. Nobody at One Bills Drive says one bad word about Leslie Frazier. So to me, all of this kind of victory lap kind of thing that's been going on since his announcement yesterday has kind of been a little bit off-putting to me, just to be honest. And that's the only reason that I've been engaging. Normally on Twitter, I don't really engage with people too much. But this was a situation that felt, important to me to kind of engage and kind of push back on it. And, I, again, saw a lot of those screenshots and different things like that. And you're absolutely right, DT. This is the type of defense that they've been running. And again, your head coach is either complicit or he is quiet. Either way, it is a problem to me personally, and I'm not looking for you to jump on that or Bills Mafia or Nickel City Crew. I'm going to stand firm and 10 toes down, as the kids would say on that. Either he is complicit in it and he agrees with the calls that are being made, because he is on the headset for every single call, Bills Mafia. Don't get it twisted, Nickel City Crew. He is on. Sean McDermott hears every play that Ken Dorsey sends in. He hears every play that Leslie Frazier sends in, regardless if he's offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. It doesn't matter. He is a part of every single play. He is the main master on those headsets. So if there's a problem, something that he sees that's off, hey, oh shit, it's 3rd and 4. Why are we 7 yards back? Either call a timeout or tell them to pump. I mean, whatever the case may be, or as soon as you hear the play, no, we're not running X, Y, 36. No, smash up or whatever the case may be. And you guys all understand my point. My point is that if he's going to be quiet, then again, it's kind of that he's complicit in it. It doesn't make it any better for me on either side. So I'll be watching him. You all know that Sean McDermott is on my list of eyes focused on him, because I can't handle another postseason exit similar to the one that we just had. Again, I know the offense only scored 10 points, and I know that a lot of people came for Ken Dorsey, and I'm still in the boat that I'm not sure if he can do the job, but I wasn't calling for his job. I wasn't calling for Leslie's job. My main thing was that I wanted everybody to be on the same page and understand that don't be fooled by slogans. Don't be fooled by his professionalism. Don't be fooled by the fact that he doesn't eat dog biscuits. It's not a situation where this guy is oblivious to what's going on Sundays, man. And if you choose to put your head in the sand and think that this guy is on the headset and he doesn't have any control over any of the calls that are made, then I would just humbly say that you're not paying attention to how the NFL works. He hears everything.
I 100% agree, Rob. And I'm kind of on the mindset of, kind of screw the defense at this point. I mean, you watch one of the best defenses since the 85 Bears, at least with sack totals, in the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Stacked roster, top to bottom, sack machines.
Zero.
And they don't get a single sack in the Super Bowl and let up 38 points. So that's the wave of the game, and that's no secret for anybody. You got to score points, and offense is the key to win championships now. That's straight up. And so as much as the defense has got to be in there and contend, like I'm past worrying about the defense, man. I'm past worrying about the defense. And like you said, I got no intention that it's going to be major different.
No.
Even if it is and they are more aggressive, they're still going to have to win a ring with offense in this until the era changes again. And so that's where I kind of sit with everything. And you're 100% right. I'm not expecting major change. But hopefully there's change in the way the season ends.
Yes, hopefully there's some change in the way the season ends. As we wrap up, DT, another thing that came from Twitter. I know I'm talking about Twitter a lot tonight, but I promise you, man, if you've got access, you've got login access to Nickel City Crew, hop on Twitter when you get a chance, because I was battling, man. One of the things that pissed me off the most as we wrap up, and I'm going to be honest, man, this is almost like a Nickel City Crew public service analysis. This is a PSA. I am really sick of Buffalo Bills fans and Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew. We're all in the same boat. I'm really sick of us comparing ourselves to the past. Now, let me explain what I mean. All throughout this whole Leslie Frazier thing, and then I'm bringing up different points, a lot of the rebuttals that I kept getting hit with, and I talked about a little earlier in the show, DT, was that, a lot of people were telling me, well, hey, Nickel City Crew, if you want to go back to Dick Duran, if you want to go back to the playoff drought, if you want, this guy's won, this guy, listen, here's what I would like to say. And I've got a little story for you. When the Bills broke the drought, okay, it was glorious. It was my number one Buffalo Bills day was against Jacksonville, that playoff game until perfection in the park. So everything leading up to that game was just euphoric. Okay. I was not in a bad mood. I left from Charlotte. My boy came down from Buff, Jeff, that I used to throw the tailgates with. He came down from Buff to Charlotte, and we rode together to Jacksonville. We got a hotel. We had a great weekend. We went to the bar, and we met up with your boys, and Brandon Morgan's and the boys, and then Brian Mormon was there, and we're drinking. We're all having a great time. When that game came around that day, and we watched Tyrod Taylor and that ineptitude offense get no points and 3 points or whatever it was. When I walked out of that stadium, I'm being honest, DT, I wasn't pissed. I wasn't mad. I wasn't, angry about the result or anything like that. I didn't feel like I wasted my time or my money or anything like that. You know what I was most happiest about, DT? I was happiest that we were back in the league, that we were back relevant, that we had ended this whole dark cloud that was over us that we all call the drought. And obviously 17 years is a long time to wait for anything, and I've always talked about that. It was a real thing. We went through it. I was a season ticket holder throughout it, just like you were. So I understand what it's like and how frustrating it was. A lot of times when people tell me, do you want to go back and this and that, and Sean McDermott's been so successful, what you are doing is you are having a defeatist mentality. And what you're doing is you're clutching to what you can hold as true and what you can hold to be most comfortable. The most comfortable and the easiest thing to say in those situations where you're met with opposition is, well, we used to be shitty. Trent Edwards is better than you know what I mean, than Alex Van Pelt, or you know what I mean, or he's better than JP Lossman, or you know what I mean, or what are the case. And it's just like, wait a minute, wait, EJ Manuel, he beat the Carolina Panthers at home, and he looks better than JP Lossman did, or he looks better than
yeah.
Stop comparing yourselves to the past. You must compare yourselves, Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew, as a fan base. It's time for us to grow up. We made it. The drought is over. We are now a part of the league. We are now participating in postseasons. You can't get to a championship without qualifying for the postseason. We have been qualified for the postseasons. Obviously, I'm happy that Sean McDermott doesn't eat dog biscuits. Obviously, I'm happy that he's professional. Obviously, I'm happy that he has a way with the locker room, and he seems to have the tone of the players. There does get a point, DT, where a lot of the shit is just talk, and it starts to fall on deaf ears, because I am no longer comparing Sean McDermott and his success against his predecessors. I am now comparing his success or his failures against his peers. Let's judge Josh Allen against his peers, not against Alex Van Pelt and Todd Collins, because that would make no fucking sense. Because obviously Josh Allen is a much better quarterback than Todd Collins and Alex Van Pelt. It doesn't matter that he's better than Fitz. It matters, how does he stack up to Mahomes? How does he stack up to Herbert? How does he stack up to Jalen Hurts now and Burrow and all that? It's about your contemporaries. How do you stack up to your peers? How does Sean McDermott, a defensive coach in an offensive world, stack up against his other peer coaches? Not against Dick Duran and Chan Gailey. That shit doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't move me. So when people talk to me like that, I already know that you are clutching your pearls. You're trying to hold on to yesteryear. We already qualified for the playoffs. The drought is over. It's time. And what I encouraged some of those guys that I was arguing with, guys or gals, I was encouraging them to graduate, DT. It's okay for Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew to graduate, in my opinion. It's okay to stop having this defeatist mentality where we're just happy to be in the playoffs. I want a ring. I don't want to waste Josh Allen's prime years with a defensive coach, and then we have a turnstile at offensive coordinator, as you heard me last week with Nate Geary. I want stability, and I want to win a championship, DT. You can disagree. You can be like those other Twitter guys, and I won't get mad at you, man. It won't change our relationship at all. I hear a lot of comparisons to the past, DT, and it sounds like people that are out of touch, clutching to pearls of the past. None of that shit means anything. How are you in comparison to your peers?
That's a great point, Rob. And there's a fine line of, being good and then just being, let's not lose by too much. Let's not, we're here, be
how
happy.
He coaches, how our coach coaches.
Like, let's not lose by too much. Exactly. So that's, and we both admit it, that day when they made the playoffs, it was New Year's Eve. We were going crazy, and glorious. I didn't make it down to that playoff game. I wish I would have, but
it was glorious.
It was great, and it was okay to be happy because of the past 17 years.
Yeah.
But 100%, you said it best. You got to graduate. You got to move forward, because we don't even have a generational quarterback right now, Rob. We're talking probably once in our lifetime type of guys with 17
talent.
And
yes.
This is not Josh Allen compared to, even Jim Kelly. It's Josh Allen. Can he beat Mahomes and Burrow to win a fucking Super Bowl?
Yes.
And that's what it has to be. Or it's just going to be play not to lose by too much, and Josh Allen will go down as the best that never was, a Phillip Rivers-esque, type of guy. And you and I both know he's more talented than that, and he's got championship, in his destiny, I think, right? So it's got to change, and 100%, you said it best, Rob. That's a wonderful point. I mean, I won't even echo that. Like, it's we have to graduate.
It's just frustrating, man.
We admitted we were happy with the change. We admitted we were happy when we started to become relevant again, and because we were bad, and it was okay then. But you have to progress. You have to get better. And there's a feeling that this organization is kind of like okay with being just good enough, where there's buzz and we're the Super Bowl favorites and we got Josh Allen and we're good. But
And
reality,
maybe
are we a threat
I'll
down the
be honest,
stretch?
maybe I'm not trying to put it on the organization. I'll be even more fair than that. But the fan base for damn sure, the
Yeah.
fan
Oh,
base for
big
sure
time.
wants you to kiss and genuflect to Sean McDermott. They want you to build him some type of statue. They want you to
Yeah.
kiss the rings that he does not have, kiss his division title ring, I guess, if they even make one of those things. And I'm just not interested in that. I'm very appreciative of the fact that how professional he is. Again, I've talked about it at nauseum that everybody, I even said it last week, everybody has their own slogans. And Doug Marrone put "Don't confuse efforts with results" on the wall. And Rex Ryan had his own moniker. And Chan Gailey had his own moniker. None of it matters. You could change the carpet color. You could change the paint on the wall in the field house. I don't give a shit about any of it because it's about the product on the field. Sean McDermott has delivered a product on the field that we should be thankful for, that we should be respectful of, and we should be grateful for. However, it every year stacks on the other, DT. Every year is another year. So we are far removed from breaking the drought now.
Yeah.
Then we take a year back, we get Josh, then what do? We go to the playoffs, and what is it? It's Kyle Brandt, it's sugar high Josh, and he looks like he's a kid on runts and Skittles, and he looks crazy, and he's laddering the ball to Dawson Knox and all this other shit, and he's doing crazy shit. Okay, going to the offseason, we're happy for that progress, that the fact that, hey man, we had an overtime playoff wild card game, and how many people had their parties that night? I was at a party that night. No problem. That's all well and good. What's the next year? Next year is a surprise. We did not expect to be in the AFC Championship game that year.
Yeah.
We were just expecting to take another step. And all of a sudden, we're sitting on the doorstep of the Super Bowl, and everybody is just like, wow, man, at the end of it. And you've got that iconic image of Stephon Diggs sitting there, standing there, watching the confetti fall, and he's got his hands on his helmet. And what is that lasting impression? Is, wow, that hurts so much. But boy, are we effing close. Like, we are so close is what you thought that next year. And then what happens the next year is 13 seconds. And that is literally like getting kicked in the nuts as a fan base. That's like a kick right in the groin. Like, oh my gosh,
and then happens again.
We were about to go to the AFC Championship game and host it against a Cincinnati team that we thought that we would definitely beat. And who knows? Obviously, now last year makes us look even dumber for having that take. But I had that take. I was ready to call you and ask you what was going on with the menu because I was getting ready to get my tickets ready. And all of that stuff goes, and it, poof, it's gone. 13 seconds, it's gone. And then all of a sudden, I mean, you just watch last year and just the way that it goes. And it's like, man, that same taste is in my mouth. I'm not thinking about the previous 17 years of futility. I'm not thinking about Dick Duran or Chan Gailey or Rex Ryan. I'm thinking about Andy Reid, and now we've got Nick Sirianni, a Buffalo boy, up and coming, and now we've got all these other coaches that are up and coming. Now we've got all these quarterbacks up and coming. Who are you compared to your peers? How do you stack up with the guys that are playing with you right now? And for the Bills Mafia and for the Nickel City crew that are fixated on the past, to me, I think you're just doing yourself a disservice. Doesn't mean that you can't appreciate what Sean McDermott has accomplished for the Bills. That does not mean that. I could be happy with his previous success and want more. I want more. And it seems like in the biggest stages, when the lights are the brightest, they're absolute brightest, he coaches not to lose the game. And it really has cost his team. It's cost us now at least 3 years. It's cost us at least 3 chances at a Super Bowl, at least now.
And another drought's coming, Rob. Hopefully not a 17-year one, but in natural progression, in natural progression, there's going to be, sometime, in the future where we're going to miss the playoffs a couple years in a row as a rebuild, whatever the case is. And then what are we going to say? We were okay in the AFC the past 10 years.
Yeah.
We never won a Super Bowl. And then you go on another drought and then come back and it's like, oh, well, we didn't make the playoffs for 5 years. So it's going to get back. So that's a great point, Rob. And now you're in the sales world. You know that what have you done for me lately? You're only as good as your last month.
That's right.
Like these are all things that literally make and break our livelihood.
That's right.
Put food on our table, feed your kids,
feed our family.
Feed me.
That's right.
And we are held to those standards. So
Why wouldn't the
You're
Bills be
telling
held
me
to those standards? Why wouldn't
these
Sean
dudes
McDermott
can
be
as
held?
well?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah,
just it's weird to me. You know what I mean? And I know that everybody. It just seems more. It just seems more disrespectful and more of in a derogatory way. In the way that some of the
sure.
people kind of go back and forth on Twitter, it's more of a
Like,
"What the
oh,
hell's
yeah,
wrong with you? The Bills missed the playoffs for 17 years. Just be happy that we've got a coach that doesn't eat dog biscuits and wear a Clemson helmet." And I'm just like, man, I just don't give a shit about any of it. I don't give a shit about what's up at the field house. I don't give a shit about the color of the carpet. I care about us winning a championship. I want a parade. I think the city of Buffalo deserves it. I think the fans deserve it, from the 90s fans all the way up to these current fans who have obviously, like yourself, you're in a generation right by me, but a little bit younger. Like we went through a drought. That shit hurt. Like that was shitty. Like I was a season ticket holder. I've been one since 09. I used to drive up and I knew that we weren't going to beat Tom Brady. I knew that we weren't going to beat whatever game we were playing. I came up to see you. I came up to be around the community. I came up to be, because there's no place else I'd rather be than on Sundays and right there at the Ralph. And I had hope, trying to just, hope against hope. Now we have the quarterback. Now we have the most important piece that every team needs now in this new offensive NFL. So why would I not want to push all my chips in the table and go get it? And why would I want to just accept mediocrity if Sean McDermott flames out again, DT, in historic fashion, kind of like he did a couple years ago, kind of like he did, last year? I promise you, man, like I'm going to be calling for him next year, and I'll be the first podcast, and unfortunately you're the co-host, so you're going to get roped in, man. Like I'll be calling for him, and I'll be calling for us to switch to the offensive side of the ball, because clearly that's the way that the league is going. And to this point, out of the final 8 teams, he was the only defensive coach left. So I don't want to turnstile anymore at offensive coordinator, DT, as we wrap up. I would love, Ken Dorsey does the job and he's the guy, you know what I mean? But eventually he's even going to get enough, attention that he might get picked up. It's the same thing with Brian Daboll. Like I worry sometimes that we let the wrong coach out of the building. I know the Pagulas were so happy with McDermott that they never would have shipped McDermott and kept Daboll. I do understand how it works. I know that they are happy that he is a professional and that he has led us to some success. He just doesn't get forever with me. I'm sorry. He just doesn't get forever. 17-year playoff drought or not, he doesn't just get to be the coach forever. Like it just doesn't work that way to me.
100%. I'm with you there, Rob. Hopefully it changes, and his biggest
weakness can come to strength, man. He
Yeah,
shrivels up in the bright
exactly. And
lights,
then
man.
his biggest
He coaches different.
his
Like
biggest
it's not
criticism will
debatable.
be exactly. His biggest criticism will be like, well, damn, why weren't you doing this the past 2 years? But all right, thanks for doing it now.
Right. Absolutely.
And we'll see.
We'll see what happens, man. We will take a break as we wrap up. We will take a break again. We'll maybe give you guys like a nice little free agency episode. I know Brandon Beane has said that don't expect the Buffalo Bills to do anything crazy in free agency. I know he said the same thing last year, and then he signed Von Miller. And I know the Bills are over the cap now. I've heard a lot of different things on WGR from a lot of cool guests that have kind of explained how the salary cap can be brought back down, and we can create some space and different things like that over the next couple weeks to kind of bring ourselves under the cap. So I'm excited about that. I know there's a Josh restructure in there and possibly a Stephon Diggs one in there as well. Von Miller is another prime candidate to get us under the cap. So give us a little bit of space, but we will try to reconvene right around NFL free agency. And then right after that, towards the end of April, again, the draft for the NFL. Everybody, all these guys, it's the cattle prodding line. They are all in Indianapolis. They're at Lucas Oil, and they are all getting poked and prodded and getting ready to run 40s and throw and catch and all that other stuff. So we'll see. The draft is a crapshoot. You do the best that you can, and hopefully you don't think that you can outthink the room, and yet you kind of just go for best player available. I know that the Bills, we've got some needs on the interior offensive line. Obviously, we need a receiver because Stephon Diggs is not going to last forever as well. And we'll see how Brandon Beane and the crew kind of attack some of those needs. So, as always, man, spread love, not hate. Nickel City Crew, we have had such a great time here in season 2 with you guys. We've really enjoyed it. DT, man, holla at the crew. The next time you holla at the crew, DT, will be season 3 of Nickel City Crew. Believe it or not, man, I mean, the time is flying, man. The 2023 season will be here before you can even blink, man.
Awesome conclusion. Great season. Pleasure as always, Rob. I really thank you for inviting me to join this journey with you. It's really something I look forward to, man, and
I wouldn't
it's
have it
brought
any
us a
other way,
lot
man.
closer, and we're developing a lifelong friendship. And I love it,
Absolutely.
man. I appreciate it. I love you, man, and I appreciate this. And season 2, it's a wrap. And
It's a
go Bills,
wrap,
baby.
man.
Go
It's a
Bills.
wrap, man. Get him with the Go Bills. Yeah, man. It's a wrap, man. These were my Bills thoughts, as always, said out loud. I'll hit y'all with a Go Bills too. Tonight's episode, along with all of our episodes, presented by 26 Shirts. Hop on over there. I've already picked out a few that I want to get my boys. They've got some really cool ones up right now. So check them out. 26 Shirts. They're in their volume. I think it's volume 12 now, man. They're just cranking these things out, man. And again, all of the proceeds go to a great cause. Go Bills, DT. I mean,
Bills.
golly, I wanted to be in Super Bowl 57. I just wanted to be there, man, and just to be able to talk shit and then just see what happens after that, whether it's been Philly fans or whatever. I just wanted to see, man. But it's been an incredible season 2. I can't wait for season 3, DT.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.